Okay. Okay,
um,
hi.
you remember
I'm
you're
Ozma the Dark
recorded.
here in the fluid voice. She, they pronouns. And I am having. This is a wonderful pre record episode, and I'm having a day today. It is a day. how are you doing, wonderful co host Christy Abbey?
I'm doing all right. Day three on Zoloft, so I'm a little
Oh,
out of it. So yay.
yay. Yeah, no, that actually uh, has worked relatively well for me. So,
Oh, well,
I
good.
hope it works well for you too.
Me too.
And pronouns, just because,
Oh, she, her.
yeah, because I'm one of those people for for these things. Safar,
She, her, an obsessive, annoying bitch. Yeah, that's me.
well, yeah, although that is harder to pronoun. Um, in here with our guest, Xevaris. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. My name is Xevaris. I'm a former semi-professional gamer, current laid-back gamer,
You
and I
you
use
call that
he/him
laid
pronouns.
back?
Yeah, as I'm sitting here in my gaming shirt that I got from my guild. It's my guild. It's got let's do
Um,
this.
you know that's not your guild. You're like the second command. You just run everything.
Yeah, we do a lot. World ranked at one point at top 100, so we do pretty well for ourselves.
And pronouns just
Yep, I
so,
use he/him pronouns.
okay.
The token cisgendered guy.
Well, yeah, but I mean, normally that's perfect. Unfortunately, perfect was not able to. Did not get my messages, so I don't know. I've been trying to get in contact with them all week, so I don't know what's going on there. Anyways, and sorry, you've guest co-hosts before. You were on briefly for the horrid episode that shall never be
Oh my
spoken
god.
of. How are you doing?
I'm pretty good actually. Uh yeah, I started testosterone like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah,
So that's nice.
Yeah.
it sounds like your voice is already cracking as you go through your
Yeah.
second puberty.
It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Um he him pronouns, that's a thing. I'm tired.
No, that's okay. Like, I just, I
I
don't
got
know.
thrown in here.
Yeah, you got thrown here because today's topic is gaming culture, and I figure there is actually quite a bit to talk about with that. And actually, let's start with you, Christy, because you are the um least gamerific person here, possibly.
Very, very much. I play empires and puzzles. I'm really good at it. But
Yeah, and
that
you've
that
already
counts.
exhibited some aspects of gamer culture with the fact that you hate the pay to win factor.
Yeah, people who buy their levels can go piss off.
That's the
But
minimum requirement to be a gamer is to be upset about pay to win.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Um. Yeah. So, what are your thoughts about gaming culture in general, Christy? Um.
in general, I'll be honest and serious. Like that's not my normal gig, but well, the honest is the serious isn't. The I haven't really gotten into it because I don't feel welcome into it. If you I yeah, because the only time I would have really started in was in my current condition, and no, I just don't feel welcome. So
I mean, fair. What about you, sir? What are your general thoughts on this?
Uh, well, I mean, most of my friends, I actually met through games, like online. Mostly Overwatch. And the Overwatch community is one of the most open ones, but that doesn't mean anything because it still sucks. Uh, um, but I don't know. I spend most of my time in online with gaming communities, so it's nice.
Yeah, and my thoughts are complicated. Gaming has been like a mixed bag for me. I mean, I think there is still like a bit of toxic masculinity prevalent in gaming culture that
Hmm.
leads it to, I don't know. There's just a lot of um, the default is masculine. It seems to be this. There's a lot of stuff where it's just like I don't know how I feel about it, but I do really like games, and I do like the esports aspect. Actually, I've become more and more of a fan of. Where are your general first thoughts, Xevaris, and then we can like go into discussion.
So, here exercising my privilege, I've always felt accepted in the gaming community as a straight white guy. It's kind of my demographic. I will say though that I've experienced the thing that many conservatives would like to argue is bad, where like they feel like their spaces are being taken over by like the woke culture or whatever. I've experienced that. So when I started playing games as a young kid, it was uh, just it was pretty childlike, where even when I got to the semi-pro level, there wasn't the toxicity and rampant like homophobia and sexism that we see today in the gaming industry and the gaming culture. When I started, it was really just like you could just imagine a bunch of 10-year-olds in a room playing video games. That was gaming culture when I started out. And then gradually over time, my generation is the real video game generation. As much as video games were invented in the generation before me, my generation is the generation that actually played them. So it's kind of like generations work like that. So one generation invents something, and then the next generation actually uses it. So my generation kind of invented cell phones, right? We were the first ones to have it. But the next generation after us actually uses cell phones at a real level. Like it's actually part of their day to day lives in a completely different way than it is for my generation. The same goes for video games. So the generation before me, they played Pong, they played Atari, they played Pac Man, all that stuff. They started the ball rolling, but my generation lived inside of video games. It's kind of what we do. Um, so the reality is the toxicity actually comes from a millennial generation in video games. I don't know why or how it started, but at some point after my professional years, sometime around the mid 2000s, um, gaming got more incredibly toxic and changed. But at the same time, I don't know what happened, but just like with D&D, when I played D&D as a kid, it was just a bunch of boys in a room. Now I play D&D to 5 women, and I'm the only guy in the room. Um, and when I play online with my guild in World of Warcraft, we have like 15 to 25 trans or LGBTQ people. That wasn't the case 10 years ago. So there has been an incredible shift in my experience playing gaming in general.
I will say in terms of your guild, acceptance is one of those things that um, sometimes it's just finding a safe guild to go to that's not going to be like complete shit to you is a factor, and having stuff like no hate speech, that sort of thing, and people who genuinely care uh, about not being the worst to
I
people.
mean, yeah,
It
as far
make
as our guild is concerned, we have our top 2 rules are no sexual harassment, zero tolerance policy, zero tolerance against anti-discrimination. We've kicked multiple people for both of those rules because we just don't tolerate it.
yeah, and that makes a big impact. But I don't know if like it's possible that our guild is like one of the exceptions. It's hard to tell for sure the demographic when it comes to that sort of thing, especially with WoW Classic, which uh, caters a bit more to older World of Warcraft players.
Yep, it does.
The well, even in even in Empires and Puzzles, they have alliances, and we talk, and it's like it's a family, not a family type thing. It's nice. I'm in a particular alliance that is more my age, but that also means I have to be very, very careful about whenever they ask about personal things, how I phrase things. I think I put my ex-wife at some point, and I kind of got side-eyed a bit. So I'm definitely not telling them the rest of the story.
Definitely, some communities are far more insular like that than other communities are, for sure. We just actually removed, and I'm sorry if this offends anybody, but we just removed probably the most boomer of boomery persons from our guild recently, because I'm sorry, but people of a certain age, they just can't learn new things, and they can't grow to accept things.
Well, you
just seems to be
say
the case.
that. I mean, like there are a lot of cultural things because I feel like my parents are definitely exceptions to that rule.
Oh no, there are, and I'm not trying to say it's like something that's like intrinsic to being older. It just appears to be the case that there's so many people in their 60s and 70s who are set in their ways and are unwilling to change.
Yeah.
I'm,
Are you
I'm,
talking
I'm in,
about Foot Fetish McGee?
Yes, I'm talking about Mr. Foot Fetish.
Oh.
Yeah. No.
here.
Yeah. No. I and the rest of the people in the Zoomer raid are very happy that Foot Fetish McGee is gone because that is a great way to make raid awkward.
Yep.
The
Yeah, people talking about other people's feet in raid is not acceptable.
Well, if it's fetishistic like that, yeah. Obviously, if there's like an occasional random joke, that's like whatever. But like, yeah, no, yeah, that
I,
was bad.
I guess that's a problem in gaming. I mean, the reality is like people need to get together to learn and stuff like that, but like gaming seems to not allow for that. There's no form of growth that can occur in online gaming communities between people with any reasonable level of success. Anyway, there you can have one-off experiences where you talk to somebody and you know told them about progressive something or other, and then they change their mind. That's a one-off event. In gaming cultures and gaming communities, it might even just be something that's prevalent online in general, but you won't find people willing to change their opinions or minds online in gaming.
I don't
People are far more willing to flame than to change.
I don't think that's entirely correct, but it might be a difference in games and communities because
That's very valid. Yeah.
I mean the people I've met mostly in Overwatch. Overwatch kind of sucks, but again, it's one of the most inclusive places somehow. Um, and I've been on Twitch a lot recently, and I know Twitch is kind of different, but I've been, in those communities, people are like actively trying to learn about things sometimes. Like if you bring up in a chat with someone that doesn't know a lot about, being trans, I mentioned it once in a chat where the streamer was like, I don't really know a lot about this. Is it okay to ask questions? And I'm like, sure. So I don't know. I don't. It might just be a difference in communities.
Are you talking about like people willing to like learn and get better at the game? I'm talking about as people.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But like, that I think it depends on who you talk to, because if someone's willing to go out of their way to even ask a question, they're already thinking about wanting
Well, I mean,
to learn.
that's I guess the thing I'm not talking about here is that nobody goes, in my experience, nobody really asks for these things. Generally, these conversations are brought up in some form of argumentative way, and in those cases, they're almost never positive. Like, for example, we brought up we were talking in Discord in my guild about the George Floyd murder. And this is when Mr. Foot Fetish came in and explained to us how George Floyd wasn't murdered and everything the cop did was acceptable. There was no arguing with this person. It's just not possible. This person is just dead set in a position, and that they just came to argue it. That's been my experience with talking about political issues in online spheres. In every game I've ever played, that's been the experience I've had with the vast majority of people. Like I said, you'll find one or two people who you're actually in a guild with, or actually in like a committed like online. I don't want to say like relationship, but like I mean like.
Well, in the broadest
like,
sense, it
yeah.
is an online relationship in that like you become.
You're playing with that person
with
daily.
guilds.
You're doing those kinds of things. Like that's what I mean when I say the committed relationship. Like you're committed to playing with this person long term. Then you can probably have one of these conversations where you get in there and you're like, well, let me change your mind about this thing that I think that you're wrong about, or something like that. Or let's have a casual conversation and we'll see if we can come to a better solution or something like that. But when you're dealing with random strangers online, the interaction is almost 100% negative. If it's not negative, it's neutral. It's almost never positive to have a great interaction with a random stranger that you're gamed with, which is why you always hear about these problems in like chat lobbies where you've got 15-year-olds screaming the N-word, or intentionally trying to misgender someone that they think is trans over the voice comms. Stuff like this happens every single randomly queued match that you run into.
Are you saying that there's never anything positive that happens? Like,
No, I said that positivity is extremely rare. I mean, obviously, the only way that you make friends in the games is by having those positive interactions. But like, for example, my main game right now is World of Warcraft. And in World of Warcraft, there's more than 5,000 people active on a server at one given time. I would say 99% of my interactions are negative.
I would not say that, but I mean, to be fair, it depends on who you're talking to. If you're talking about someone who is trying to pretend they're good because they need to, a part of them feels they need to prove that they're good and right and all that stuff, as opposed to the more random interactions, because I've had a fair amount of random interactions where, because I don't pay attention to general chat, and maybe that's a factor. Like, I mean, someone was telling, because this is still an RP PvP server, there's still RP that happens, as rare as it is in Grobulus, and I do follow, I do join up with that. Sometimes when it happens, someone was telling jokes online. Asked if they're like a traveling comedian in the World of Warcraft universe, and I paid them money afterwards because I thought they deserved it. But like and there are people who try to like dance with me or something and have a little bits of dance parties and stuff. But yeah, when it comes to raiding communities or whatnot, and people who are focused more on the getting good aspect, that does seem to come up a lot more, like a lot more of the negativity, and in that. But I mean, sometimes it's like different games have different communities that cropped up into prevalence. I get the impression because like Call of Duty is much more likely to have a toxic community, and I think League of Legends also has a far too often toxic community. But like Overwatch might not have that, and might just be reviewers being toxic when it comes to Overwatch.
I don't have much experience with Overwatch, but I used to play with a friend from work who played a lot of Overwatch, and he used to talk about how Overwatch is probably one of the better games because Blizzard actually, does their job at banning people who are toxic and stuff like that. But even he would tell me that all the time, as a black man, he would get called the N-word often because he has a stereotypically African American voice and dialect. He would often get called racial slurs in like almost every match. It's at the point now where he was telling me that he had to completely mute comms every new match because it's just not acceptable to him. So while I agree that Overwatch is probably one of the best communities out there, it still has some pretty rampant problems. I just think it's a problem that's inherent to gaming and online culture. When you're allowed to be a keyboard warrior and you're not in face to face with somebody, it just causes people to be more negative than they would normally.
Well, I mean,
Siren, talk about Overwatch a little bit because I'm trying to get my head together on a couple of things I wanted to hit.
Like in-game community stuff, or just?
Yeah, we don't know how it works. I don't play it, so if you could please elaborate, that'd be great.
I'm not one of the best players. I'm in bronze and silver, so it's a little bit different in lower ranks. Because people are more likely to be kind of shitty in lower ranks. But you're on a 6-person team, right? And usually you're supposed to be on comms because it's a team game and your communication is a thing. And it really just depends on who you get matched with. I mean, I've had someone harass me for having a female voice, and I didn't want to explain that I was trans because that would just make it worse. And then I had someone else jump in and say, "Hey, shut the fuck up. You know nothing." So, it just depends. But I haven't had that many terrible experiences in Overwatch. And again, I have a lot of friends that I met through that game. Also, the streamers that stream high-level gameplay, or high-tier gameplay, I don't care. They're great people, and it seems that people in higher ranks are just more accepting for whatever reason. I think it's because, like, when you get to GM top 500, you get to, like, recognize people because it's a small amount of the people that are in the game, so you get to recognize the people. And you don't want to be shitty on comms and then have someone recognize you and go, "Hey, you're a shitty person."
No, that's totally valid. That's been my experience as well. And I think that's probably the experience of just about any professional sport or any competition thing that gets to the highest level. Because the people at the highest level are the ones who are actually trying to win the game and really want to try. So it generally leads to a less toxic atmosphere because everyone there is actually trying their best to win. Go ahead.
I was gonna say also the toxic people get canceled out of teams.
Yeah, but at the same time, like it becomes a minority thing, like at every level of highest professional tier. So like a good example is unfortunately he just passed away, Wreckful from World of Warcraft. Unfortunately, he killed himself recently. But I did get a chance to play with and meet Wreckful at professional events back in 2007. And the dude was kind of pretty toxic, but he was really good. But I would say he was like the only toxic one at any of the events I ever went to. He eventually stopped being as toxic because he found his way better in life after that point. But you'll find that some of these really highly negative players do make it into the top tier, but at that point they are in fact the extreme minority. It even happens in like professional sports, like players around the league hate somebody like Draymond Green, for example, in the NBA because he plays dirty, he plays rough, he plays angry, he plays upset, he plays violent, and he trash talks and says crappy things on the court and stuff like that, but he's good enough to have made it there. That's why he stays around. And then, like, obviously in things like the NBA, he can't be saying racial slurs or anything like that on the court because he'll get fined or fired because it's an actual job and he's protected by, First Amendment rights or whatever. But, like, yeah, when you get to the higher tiers, less toxic people. It's definitely a lower tier thing.
Can I take a guess because I'm not in that. In order to get into the higher tiers, you would have to learn how to work with other people of all sorts of different types. And if you don't learn that, you never quite move up. If you're all trying to pull together, then the higher tiers would be, various people have learned to work together, and not, PewDiePie.
PewDiePie is not a high level gamer. He's just a very popular
No.
gamer.
Yeah.
He's a very he is he definitely added to the popularity of toxic attitudes. I get, at the very least, that's the impression I get. Because there's some impact, but like I don't know if anyone cares about, if most people care about PewDiePie anymore. I don't know.
I think
Mine
he's still the
would-
most popular gamer, right?
I think so.
Yeah, probably, but
In the YouTube community, probably still.
I just think in general, like still think he's like raw numbers has the most people paying attention to him.
yeah.
I could be wrong.
Yeah.
It could have been. Wait, no, didn't the guy who went to Mixer, Ninja, didn't he pass him?
Yeah, I think so.
That's when Fortnite got to the height of its popularity, though. So
Yeah.
One of the oddities is my original alliance broke up because a whole bunch of us were. It turns out a whole bunch of us were trans. I do not know how we found each other in this game, but there's like 5 trans people out of the 30 people who make up an alliance, and all of a sudden, poof, the person who started the guild just destroyed it.
oh,
Mhm.
So
that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
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 Breaking up of game communities is always pretty rough because it does start to feel like a real family at some point. You spend 5 to 7 hours a day with individual peoples online, you start to actually treat them like real people, even because they are. But like it's a little different when you're dealing with people online. You tend to have like a layer of separation between you and people online. You're not telling them your name, your address, things like that, personal details. But after a while, if you game with someone enough, yeah, you might even hang out with somebody in real life that you met online in a game.
Yeah.
Well, I'm real worried about Magoo's Achilles heel operation. So,
Yeah, like
Yeah.
a friend of ours, like a buddy of ours in my guild got COVID, and we were all like actually legitimately scared for him, checking in on him every day. We had a guy literally ghost us, like he just didn't log in ever again, and we all like flipped out about it. We still talk about it almost every day. We try to send him messages, and because we're worried the guy died, we just have no idea.
Yeah, especially with like the pandemic going on, it's just that much scarier.
Yeah, that's most of what we talk about has nothing to do with the game unless we're in an active raid or something like that. So,
I mean, going back to Twitch really quick, I know it's, but
we'll bounce. It's fine.
That's fine.
I watch a lot of Twitch right now. It feels really nice to be in communities like that. But like the few that I like am really consistently in the chats, people were asking like how my mom was doing because she just had knee surgery. Like even if I wasn't bringing it up, they would just ask because they knew. It was nice. But
My alliance too, by the way, since we're both caretakers of her, so while she's recovering.
Yeah, and yeah, but I mean, also on Twitch communities, there's the randos on Twitch who like to pop into chat just to be horrible assholes.
That is the other half of that, is that like if you look at the vast majority of the people who come to see Alex's stream are probably trolls asking for an OnlyFans account.
Well, okay, hear me out. Those are the chasers. Then there are the people who, because they actually want the OnlyFans account. Let's be honest. And then there's the people who there's the person like Footfish McGee, who, except in my Twitch chat, wants me to burp. And then there are the people who are just trying to actively troll me and say cruel things to me, because I'm trans. And then there are people who are just assholes to anyone, because I know when Obsidian Council went into Molten Core, was going to be like one of the first people to complete
Yeah,
Molten
my stream
Core.
you're talking about. Yeah, my stream had some pretty toxic stuff going on it during that night.
Yeah, which I helped a little with the moderation or whatever, and it's just like told someone not to do it, and then they continued to do it and insulted me, the moderator, and then I was just like okay, ban. Like, and then
I will say maybe there's some bias in my opinions here, because the server that I'm from, the community that I engage in, is probably one of the most toxic communities of all time. We were mentioned in national news. My server for World of Warcraft was, because back in September, there was a guild on our server that made national headlines because they led a Ku Klux Klan rally in the middle of the game. A California state senator even responded and asked Blizzards explicitly what they were going to do about the situation. Our server in my community in Classic WoW is probably one of the more toxic ones, and that maybe have colored my opinion about the toxicity of gaming in general. But to be fair, World of Warcraft is the largest MMO in the gaming sphere right now, so it is encompassing a very large segment of gamers.
Yeah.
yeah.
One of the things I did want to ask about, the early before Last of Us 2 came out, there was a lot of discourse on there's a trans character in it, and everybody thought it was, I'm gonna go with Amy, but I don't remember her actual name, the really buff girl. And it turns out to be a small trans guy, but I mean, there's trans issues in it, and Last of Us 2 calls for radical empathy, but the pre everything before it came out, there was a lot of unfollows on my Twitter and my Facebook because of, how dare they put their agenda in the game thing. So
Games have always been political. If anybody has a problem with that, that's always been the case. Just like any other media, games have always, mirrored, real life situations and stuff. I've stopped believing people when they're saying things like, well, I just didn't like what they did with this character's personality, or I didn't like that they put their politics in my game. To me, these are just dog whistles at this point, for this person doesn't like trans or gay people, or doesn't like black people, insert whatever. They're not valid criticisms to me anymore. Like, I just don't believe them at all.
Yeah.
I feel bad for those who actually played it, because it does require radical empathy. That's the entire point of that game. You learn both. You learn the situation from both sides. Plus, you've got a trans guy, so.
Yeah, and
you've seen Last of Us, Sai. You've seen Last of Us, yeah?
I haven't finished watching a playthrough yet. I actually kind of stopped because I got caught up in other things and then I forgot.
Oh, okay. All right. Because
I
I have, but it's. I initially wanted to play it, Twitch it, and I decided not to because I didn't want to get into the politics of it.
Well, also, that's an expensive game, and we don't have room for it on the PS4. So.
I'm not commenting on how I would get to it.
Yeah, that's kind of shitty.
Anyways, so, but I always got the impression when people are like, games are suddenly getting political, it's less about games getting political, or even like dog whistles in my mind, so much as that culture is shifting. and games are shifting with culture. And the reason things didn't seem political in the past is because you agreed with the politics, and that's the politics you're used to. Now things are different, and you have to actually change your mind about stuff potentially with new information, and change is scary.
I don't know. Putting a bow on Miss Pac-Man is pretty much as political as we got, and I kind of thought that was shitty, but you know.
See, this is my point. Is like you can go back as far as you want. Like in the previous generation's always going to be mad at the current generation for something.
Yeah.
There was my favorite like comic strip that I've ever seen was like a caveman arguing with another caveman. It says, "Fire generation feel entitled to stick."
Took a second, but
like I can just imagine right now the gamers who are upset about Miss Pac-Man getting a bow, and it just makes me giggle.
Yeah, because like,
my aunt, by the way, on when Space Invaders came out, my aunt, she said, "I don't like that kind of game because when the aliens do come, we want to be friendly with them, and this is teaching you to be warlike towards them."
I mean,
when the aliens do
come, minus the aliens definitely coming part, but like,
what do you mean they're already here?
Oh no.
Well, yes.
The lizard people taking over is the only real explanation for 2020.
Oh no! Don't get. I am well too aware of the anti-Semitic dog whistles in that particular conspiracy theory.
Stephen Miller is definitely an alien, but he's not, a lizard person because they don't exist.
But yeah, and I mean, I think that might be the lack of toxicity in high level play, like esports play. Like if you look at any esports gamer, they're like do not seem like a toxic community. Like the only esports gamer I could imagine potentially being able to be toxic and get away with it would be Faker, but like because Faker's so good, but like Faker could basically carry a pro team, and practically did last year or whatnot. But like, no, Faker doesn't seem like a bad person either.
No, none of the top pro players ever seem like bad people. Like it's very rare. Like Michael Jordan is like the only example of a super top tier professional who is an absolute prick and an asshole and is still like the best. Like there's no example of that in gaming at all. And like in real sports, like MJ is like the only example. And I can't believe I just said real sports when I advocate for esports being real sports.
Yeah.
Physical sports.
Because I mean, yeah, I mean that's its own argument. Although I don't actually know if I don't even know when it comes to gaming community if all gamers are on board with that.
With esports being considered sports,
Yeah.
like if we broaden the term gamer to be anybody who plays video games, then yeah, the support for games being considered like a legitimate athletic sport is really low. But if you were to bring it up to people who play regularly, anybody who plays games regularly, and I mean like 3 to 4 times a week, you're going to find that maybe like 85 to 100% of those people would agree that esports should be considered real sports.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you start getting closer to top tiers. Like, I'm sure everyone in Obsidian Council Raid considers esports to be real sports
Yep.
because we are aware of the fact that it takes tactics, practice, and understanding of the game to actually do well in raids.
We're gonna do our first raid for this new content that came out today. Probably in like 5 or so hours here. I'm gonna raid lead it. I have put in more than 150 hours of preparation for an event that's gonna take 2 hours. If that's not professional levels worth of effort, I don't know what is.
Yeah, no, it's yeah, no, it's one of those things where you can have interesting, friendly competition, but like they're yeah, they're just weird attitudes, and I think we almost have to go back and bring up Gamergate because that was definitely I mean that's definitely been considered by a lot of people to be the large influx of toxicity into gamer culture, or the largest.
I don't even know that most of those people are gamers. Of course, under the one definition, I'm not a gamer, which you know, I play a game which I'm very good at, but
Yeah,
You
no,
play
no, no,
a
no.
mobile game.
it's a mobile game. But I like, you know, it's
Yeah,
something I
but like
enjoy.
you play that mobile game like you play it like a gamer, like um and not the toxic. So there's been a weird thing where people are like associating all the toxic elements of gamer community and just being like that's what it means to be a gamer and that's a bad thing. And you shouldn't call yourself a gamer. There are elements of that. I don't necessarily. I uh, I mean, I grew up with the general definition. Anyone who plays games a bunch is a gamer. Cause yeah, it's the if you get too gatekeepy, like you mentioned before, it starts to get ridiculous.
Well, I was around. I mean, I'm the oldest one here, but I was around when games switched from being something that both sexes play and to being marketed almost exclusively to boys. And that seemed to be the start of it. And I would hear a lot, "You can't be good at games, you're a girl," and it was just like, wait, right? I mean, it happened fast. It's not, it was not like it was not like it was within a year of it started being marketed to boys. It was like, okay, you know, everything's blue and no pink.
Um,
Um, but it turns out that if you count mobile games, that women actually play games more than men do. So
My opinion on that one is like some mobile games are not, in my opinion, video games. What you've described, Christy, is a video game. Like there's no way you didn't have a video game experience when you've described what you've described, especially with the
yeah,
online aspects with, all the friends that you hang out with, the clans that you work with, the people that you play with. Like you're playing a legitimate game, in my opinion. I think what most people say is like they don't talk about like mobile games being considered games is things
Candy
like
Crush.
Flappy Bird or Candy Crush.
Wait,
Um,
Flappy Bird. Okay, I'm gonna have to disagree with you there.
well, so
Flappy
the
Bird.
reason
Flappy
why
Bird
Flappy Bird doesn't
specifically,
is
even
like
exist.
yeah, it's gone now.
well, yeah,
But
it's
no,
been gone for a while, but like, it's definitely, it's definitely plays out like a very basic platformer.
right. But like the point about Flappy Bird was, I think its original design intent was for you to like play it like when you were waiting for something. Like you were just supposed, like it wasn't like it'd be like the version of the 80s pocket games. Like that's kind of what it was designed for. It was something you could play in like 2 minutes or something like that
Well,
and pass some time.
yeah, but I mean,
When most people consider video games, they're considering something that takes time investment.
yeah, This Empires and Puzzles. I mean, I know it's the most popular right now. It's the most popular mobile game. It wasn't when I started, but it takes some time investment, and it takes some skill.
But what about the ostriches fighting each other video game? That's basic and old.
I don't
What
even know
about
what you're referring
Pong?
to.
I still have my Pong somewhere. It's in
See,
the
this
garage.
is what I'm saying is like if you were to load up Pong and play it for like 5 minutes, I wouldn't consider, if that was your only experience with playing a video game, I wouldn't consider you a gamer. Now, if you were playing Pong with your friends and trying to set up like a tournament and a ladder and doing that, and then now you're stepped into the realm of playing games. There is a segment of level of playing a video game that is just passing time, not gaming.
Well, there's 6 million people who play this. I am 120,000 out of that, which I
That's
think is
huge.
Yeah,
That's like top 5% at least.
Yeah.
it's top 10. The tournaments I always get top 10. So
Nice.
Yeah, no. Like, and that's always like amazing to look at. Like I was happy that one time I managed to get top 5% for my gear level. Like I couldn't even get top 5%. Noxie's always getting fucking top 5% in her healing.
I don't know anything. I don't know anything about Homestuck. You've tried to tell me, so tell me. Actually,
Oh my god, no.
No.
I don't. You've tried to tell me,
Homestuck's
and I've
No.
been completely
Homestuck's
oblivious.
like Homestuck isn't even. That's like a choose your own adventure book.
Well, it's
Yeah.
bizarre. I watched a playthrough of level 1 and level 2, and I thought it was
What?
bizarre.
No, it's a webcomic.
Yeah.
Oh wait, are you talking about oh, I forget what it was. Or whatever.
I'm probably talking about that. The bizarre one where a guy's stuck in his room, and there's ladders, and there's new stairs, and
I'll talk to you about Homestuck later, okay?
Yeah. All I can think about is based off of that description. All I can think about is Silent Hill 4, because that's the one where you're kind of sort of trapped in your room and things.
No, I think he's talking about this. Sorry, I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
The-
it always hurts more when you're like trans and you accidentally misgender someone. And you're like just like, holy
I'm
fuck!
just like,
Am I
oh,
like
no!
the worst trans person ever?
I feel better.
No, I'm so
I feel
sorry.
better about accidentally misgendering you sometimes, Alex.
I don't hear it much from you. Like maybe.
No, I mean originally when you first started changing your name and your pronouns and stuff.
I mean,
I feel better about it now.
I almost never
always
do,
gave
but-
Harley more shit.
Yeah, but it's okay. I've done it a lot. The one thing I'm very careful about is always calling you Siren on this show, because
Yeah,
we talked about you here now and again.
It doesn't matter too much. It's like 2 letters of a difference. I don't. Or,
I know, but it's what you want, so it's fine.
yeah. What were? Oh, I think you're talking about like the beginning with John, but again, I'll talk to you about that later.
Oh, okay. It's fine. I'm the least gamery person here. I played D&D and got bored of it after several
You probably had a bad
7 to 8 day marathons of it.
That's another category that you can place those like games that we were talking about, like Flappy Bird, Pong. Like if you play it like intermittently, like that starts to enter the realm of gaming, like board gaming or like Dungeons and Dragons gaming. It starts to feel more like that than it does like video gaming. That's kind of where the distinction I come across. I don't have good words to describe it. It's more of like a feeling, I guess. I should think about this a little more and come with more better descriptions.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, that's how linguistics change. A lot of people get similar feelings about it, and then people define it later.
Right.
I will say I was not one to notice the marketing towards the games being marketed towards boys thing. I don't know why.
You're not old enough for that.
No.
Like Christy was saying, it was literally like the first year after gaming is when that happened. Like after Pong, like a year later, they started marketing
Well,
towards.
no. Like I didn't notice it. Like I was surrounded. Like we didn't have access to a lot of video games, and my parents were cool about like a lot of gender non-conforming stuff. So like, you know, me and my sisters grew up playing video games, and I didn't we didn't really think about it, and like I didn't think about it because like, um, you know, I'm not the best at being social and keeping friends, and like there was always at least one. There's always at least one woman in the gaming community, so it's just like, um, and like I met the two friends who are in your World of Warcraft D&D campaign. I met them because we talked about video games like in high school. Like it's just like I totally missed the bar on the like I never connected with that. It was like a weird thing where I didn't notice that it was marketed only towards.
So this is a weird one. It might just be like people's experiences, but I feel like based on what I've heard from other people, the majority experience was that women felt gatekept out of video games because video games weren't designed necessarily for them. I feel like that was the most common experience, especially in my household. Like it was me and my dad, and then I had two sisters and my mom. We were outnumbered, but my sisters and my mom never wanted to play video games with us, like ever, because the video games just weren't designed for them. Like even something as simple as Mario 64 just didn't appeal to my sisters or my mom at all. But me and my dad were in basement for hours gaming with it. I know my mom expressed frustration specifically because she said she liked video games as a kid. She had an Atari and really, really liked Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man, and she never felt like games were really for her. And she expressed that to me specifically because I always wanted my mom to play with me, and she always told me that she didn't really feel like games were, fun for her.
Yeah, I mean, before I came out as trans, and I was a girl in the gaming community, it was always kind of weird and awkward talking to people sometimes because there's actually this thing where people will hear your voice and go, "Oh my god, it's a gamer girl! Holy shit!" And it's kind of weird.
It is one of the cringiest things that I like. It sounds bad to say when I say it like this because like I have to deal with it. I do because if you're in one of those games, you have to deal with it. It's just not as bad as being a girl and having to deal with that because it's absolutely horrendous and horrible, and it's the most cringe thing in all of gaming.
Yeah.
One of the things about being trans is that we've gotten to see all of this from both sides.
Yeah.
It
Well, even now, since my voice is still kind of feminine, I'll join comms and I'll speak, and they're like, "You're either a really young guy or you're a girl, and if you're a gamer girl, pog, It's so stupid.
What is pretty cringe?
What does pog mean? Just because
it's just an exclamation. It's like excitement, or it's like an exclamatory statement. Like something good happens, pog.
Okay.
Yeah, that was
I'm
one
terrible.
I'm pretty sure I asked you before, Zev, and like I totally forgot. I keep forgetting that one. It's weird.
Yeah, I'm not actually huge. I'm not actually huge into Twitch. It's much more of a Twitch thing, but thanks to an add-on for World of Warcraft, I have Twitch chat emotes in my fucking World of Warcraft game. So everybody uses Twitch chat emotes all day, every day, and that's why I get acquainted with this stuff.
Wait, is that why people do that? Like, there's actually a Twitch emote add-on?
Yeah, it's in the guild Discord under it was under required add-ons for a minute. I think it got taken out. But yeah,
Oh.
whenever you see me, because you'll see me say Keck W all the time.
Yeah.
But like, and like, I guess people like started to see like I get memed all the time in guild because apparently there's a large segment of the guild that doesn't have the add-on. So I'm the Keck W guy, I guess, because no one has the add-on, I guess. But yeah, I put the emote in chat all the time.
Okay.
Have you reclaimed Keck at least from
So like
from the bastards?
Yeah, in what was this, like the early 2010s? Like Keck was like Kekistan was like this huge like 4chan meme. Like it's because it became so popular. Right, because it became so popular, it's now has lost its complete meaning from like the 4chan days. Same thing with, I would argue, with like Pepe the Frog and a large segment of gaming now. It's just so widespread that the actual racists have stopped caring about it. Like the whole point was, right? Like most of them. It's supposed to be, the whole point about like Keck and Kekistan and Pepe the Frog was supposed to be those like internal lingo that they could use amongst themselves. And then it became so widespread and popular for not related to racism and homophobia and bigotry that they no longer use it in large segments anymore. And it doesn't mean necessarily those things. It's not like you can't go around putting up the OK symbol, like, because that's not acceptable these days. But like the Pepe the Frog and Kekistan stuff, I don't think has very many connotations with that. I mean, the Keck thing is related to the laughing Spanish guy. I can't remember his name, or the meme. It's pretty funny. The guy who tells a story and just can't stop laughing. That's kind of where that meme goes from.
If the thing with Pepe was actually a cool character, a leftist character, and then the Nazis took it over, and when Richard Spencer got his famous punch, he was actually explaining what Pepe means in Nazi.
Well, I mean, in Twitch chats, it's nothing. It's just a funny emote, you know. A lot of the better TV emotes are Pepe based, and it's just because he's funny looking.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of this is it's become very widespread in gaming communities. So you have the people outside of gaming communities who all they see is people talking about the Nazi usage of it, and then seeing it everywhere in gaming communities. They're like, holy shit, are they all Nazis?
There is some of that in my head, so I'm actually asking about it just to
in gaming circles, I really think that the Pepe thing is just a funny meme at this point. It's not related to the Nazism.
Yeah,
like you could, like, if it is, Pepe has been so widely changed because he, like, you know, the Pepe is like crying or whatever, right? That's the original one. There's now like a trillion versions of Pepe because they're all like modified in some way with like GIF art. So like if you were to find, like, you will actually find like a Pepe with like the Nazi flag behind him, and like you'll know, okay, so this is racist Pepe. Like at this point, like Pepe is so diversified that there is actually racist versions of Pepe.
Yeah, and also the Pepe with LGBT like a rainbow clown wig. I think that one still tends to be used a bit more to mock LGBT stuff. That one tends to be another one that is more likely for me to go, that's definitely, I've got my eye on you.
It's the clown world Pepe. How about the OK symbol and the glass of milk?
I'm not familiar with the glass of milk.
Yeah, I'm not familiar either.
Well,
the OK symbol, like I said, you probably shouldn't be flipping that around anywhere on live stream.
Well, the glass of milk was the one that kept getting thrown at me for white power.
Wow. Yeah.
I just gotta be. It's pretty dumb. It's so dumb. It's funny.
white power is dumb in itself, you know.
Well, yeah, but I mean it's anti-intellectual, so that's not particularly a surprise. That yeah, uh, no, I wonder. What do you think made gaming community, gaming culture, um, susceptible to some of these toxic elements?
I think it's because it's online.
Yeah.
Like any community that's primarily online is probably more susceptible to these, online negative spheres than any other community is, because these online spheres are online. Like all the racists congregate online. It's the only place they can be racist openly, for the
Yeah.
most part.
Yeah, I suppose that makes sense.
It's like all the gender critters, or sorry, gender critical. I'm not allowed to call them critters because that's mean.
Well,
It's
I'm
also,
so sorry.
I don't know what you mean when you're saying gender critters. I'm like, wait, what? Are there critters that are just gender? What?
The gender critical, the turfs, who call
Turfs.
themselves gender critical, and I just call them gender critters, and
Yeah.
they get mad because, well, you're calling us animals. Well, yeah, actually I am, but the they congregate in Twitter, you know.
well, and Mumsnet.
Well, Mumsnet is their own space. Let them have their own space. I don't care about their own space.
Well, they're not doing too well on Twitter anymore. They're doing worse and worse, unless they're rich enough. I mean, even Glinner got kicked off, and it's questionable how long J.K. Rowling will be able to last.
Yeah, I'm
unless she tones down.
On a side note, I really hope that Trump wins his appeal to allow himself to block people off Twitter, because if he wins that, Twitter can kick Trump off Twitter.
Yes, that's true.
Okay, that's nice.
Legally, Trump can't kick anybody off of Twitter
Right now, anyway.
Because it's part of the presidential record.
Yep.
And he's not allowed to fuck with that, which good. Because I got kicked by him and then I got unkicked. And it's funny. I don't think he'll win his appeal, but I would like to see him kicked off of Twitter for usage. He gets reported all the time.
Yeah, I don't think he'll win the appeal because, for all the reasons you just mentioned, public record, it's like he tweets from there. Obviously, we need to see it. But at the same time, if he does, Twitter now has the authority to kick him off Twitter.
Yep.
Yeah. No,
Wouldn't it be funny if it was instant? Like the moment the judge hands down the ruling that he can kick people, like he's just instantly removed. Before he can kick anybody, he's kicked.
On January 20th, they will suspend his account.
I think they will, yeah.
Yeah.
They'll archive it and send it over. They'll archive all of his tweets and send it over to the Library of Congress and just delete his account.
Yeah, because yeah, Trump has violated enough rules that even the Twitter moderation has noticed.
Yeah.
Which is how Glinner.
Sorry for the tangent.
Yeah. Gaming. That's what we're here for. No, I gaming is kind of like a weird thing because I don't think people. Well, obviously, with anything created, I don't think people expect the subcultures that get formed from it. Obviously, online toxicity is a problem that adds to it. Although I don't know how much bleeds over to actual gaming tournaments like the Super Smash Bros. Tournaments.
Well, typically tournaments are held in person, and like I said earlier, people aren't toxic in person. They're only toxic behind their keyboards where they feel safe.
Well,
It's
most
very
are.
rare that you're gonna.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's very rare that you're gonna find a very timid gamer person who grows big online because he has the or she has the, anonymity behind it. You're very rarely you're gonna find that person feeling strong enough in character to lash out in person.
Yeah.
The most toxic thing I ever saw in my time at actual gaming events, during the MLG events in 2005 through 2009, um, the most toxic things I ever saw was people breaking their own stuff. Like I saw controllers get thrown, keyboards smashed, and that's a level of toxicity I'm willing to accept, because I'm perfectly fine with LeBron James kicking his chair over when he's pissed off at a play or something.
Well, as long as
Like
he
I'm
doesn't
perfectly
hurt
fine.
himself.
Right. I mean, he did that once in a finals game. Unfortunately, he punched a locker and broke his hand. That was dumb. Yeah, I'm not okay with bodily injury from that kind of stuff, or any kind of like damage that would prevent you from further competing. Like if you break a controller and don't have a backup one, and you've got to play in like 5 minutes, you fucked up. But I would say in most cases that's like acceptable levels of like rage and anger that stems from normal levels of competition. It shows me that you're actually just caring about the competition that you're in. Obviously, I would like you to transfer that rage in a more, constructive way, but that's a level of toxicity I'm willing to accept. I'm not willing to accept someone raging at a teammate or like yelling or profanities at an opponent or something like that. That's completely unacceptable.
See, now I'm thinking of the meme of the old German kid who was destroying or the young German kid from way back. The old meme of the young German kid.
Yeah, that is a good meme. Yeah, no. So to bring it around to some of the interesting things that seem to happen with toxicity, including in gaming spaces. Let's bring it to let's bring it to the trans people who seem to further toxic attitudes to try to gain acceptance. I don't know if it's out of fear that they won't get accepted if they don't play along with toxicity, or what exactly. Well, I mean, it's hard to determine exactly the motive behind that, but we're not being trans does not make you immune from being a toxic person. Blair White is a good example of someone who's toxic.
I'm not going to make this claim broadly, but my experience is that the percentage of toxic people that exists in trans women and trans men in video games is higher than the cis population. I have had 8 or 9, I believe, trans women specifically in my guild in WoW, and 3 of them have been removed for incredibly toxic reasons. And that's been my experience through all of gaming. I don't know why, and I think it's because Alex brought it up. They're maybe trying to be toxic to fit in, and maybe that's the case. I don't know.
Siren, you can talk to this a little more.
I have personally never met an openly trans person in game, so.
Well, you.
I don't meet myself.
I don't think Siren's toxic. If that's what you're trying to say, like,
no.
What are you trying to say?
Yeah, I'm not trying to make the claim that I think that trans people in general are more toxic. It just seems to be the case that in gaming, maybe Alex, you're hitting on a point. I never even thought about that. Are they trying to be toxic to fit in with a toxic culture that will only accept them if they're equally toxic towards themselves and other trans people?
I mean, that makes sense, but it's also a stupid mindset.
Yeah, I would totally agree that that's really dumb, but like it's an explanation that I hadn't even really considered before.
Yeah, because there are aspects. I think with a lot of marginalized groups, there's always the small percentage of aspects who seem to gain quick acceptance It's basically like the dark side of the Force. Like you get the power quickly and easily, but there are major consequences to the general community. And yeah, no, it's yeah. Basically, the openly trans players who are cool are the best trans players, and I will totally hit that top 5% for Holy Paladin in WoW Classic.
Well, there's a lot of things that trans people have to do to get along that I refuse to do, which may be just me growing up with. I may have grown up with two toxic people, but they're both stubborn toxic people. So, and I learned stubborn. So that's kind of how I deal with everything. Yeah, if a gender critical goes after me, I'll keep going with them until they block me.
Admittedly, I do that as well. Yeah, although Christy, your situation amuses me the most because your existence is the antithesis of gender critical attitudes. Like you shouldn't be able to exist based off of their attitudes.
No.
And that's impressive. That's impressively awful, but also impressive that they are able to maintain that level of ignorant argument against you.
Well, they also say I'm self-diagnosed with my various with autism and intersex. So,
They say you're self-diagnosed as intersex.
Yeah.
Oh, you broke Alex.
Well, it's so dumb. That is so. I don't even know the layers of like. No, nobody does that. I mean, maybe there's someone somewhere, but like, no. I don't recall when I just look at my skin and oh, those are my chromosomes. I know that whether or not I'm intersex because I was just looking at my skin and I was able to see the chromosomes there. Like, what the fuck did they think?
One of the things I save it for later in the in whatever argument it is, and I just throw it there when they bring up chromosomes, because everybody does at some point or another.
Well, the gender critical type do, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like I did not find out that I was intersex until I was well into transition because Siren has a genetic defect that I do too. And I needed to get my chromosomes checked because of or I'm sorry, did I say sorry? I'm sorry, Rachel, your older sister.
Oh,
Siren's all like,
sister.
wait, what do I
got
have? Is this a reveal for me?
Yeah, it's a reveal
fuck.
now.
I'm so sorry.
This is the secret reveal party. That's why you're brought in here. Like,
no, Rachel has something that only goes through the female line, and I have it, and I'm not supposed to. And then I had to get my chromosomes checked to see that, and it's according to before Trump had all this information scrubbed from the CDC, it's 1 in 122,000 people who are intersex in my way that can have children, and the chances are 50-50 that one of them will be trans. Which, what a surprise.
Yeah. So like,
So you didn't get it, is what I'm saying, Siren, actually, and that was like, that was part of the thing, and I had to get my chromosomes checked because they needed to check. They needed to check where if one of them was broken.
yeah, no, it's just like biology is interesting when you actually look into it and read about it, but
Yeah. Well,
not when you scream it at people.
Obviously, I can only have assigned female at birth children, but I was also very infertile. If there's 19 years between the two children, you know.
Yeah, and no, it's just very interesting. I mean, we're past the 1 hour mark, so technically we can talk about anything, but like, it's very interesting how insular communities can sometimes excuse members, and I don't know. It's hard to know when to bring up stuff. Like, I'm not a fan of the use of the R slur that I hear occasionally.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I still use stupid, and apparently, I'm not supposed to now. I'm good with changing the language. I'm fine with that. There's a lot of things that have changed. Liberal has changed in my lifetime, so.
Well, only among leftist communities.
Yeah.
What I mean, that's the thing. Like, if you get too much into a community and don't listen to people outside the community, you forget that things haven't changed for them, and they don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Also true.
But yeah, the stupid thing. I think much like the Arsenal, it's just some of the. There are ignorant and bad ways to talk about the lack of usage of certain words, and then there's the reason that happens to spark it all, and I think that came from the fact that it's an insult because calling someone stupid is an insult because societally, if you are less intelligent, you are not considered to be as good of a person. Like, it's a bad thing societally to do something to have a quality that is not necessarily anyone's fault.
Well, to get into game, there's another term that I came across when I did try gaming that I think had a lot to do with a lot of Asperger's level, and we can't use Asperger's anymore. So, autistic spectrum. Yeah, I still call myself an Aspie. Fuck it.
Yeah, no, fuck it. You can call yourself that. Like,
but autistic screech was one of the insults people would throw around a lot.
Yeah, that one's actually started to get less popular. I get the impression. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, Sev. Using calling someone autistic as a replacement for the R slur, essentially.
People use the R. They call people spurgs. They call people like.
Yeah, spurgs is the other one.
I don't think spurg has any relation to Asperger's beyond the naming convention. I think.
What are they trying to convey with that?
Just the person's spazzing out, which I don't associate with Asperger's.
Yeah, although
I don't think anybody who knows what Asperger's is associates spazzy behavior with Asperger's syndrome.
Well, the two people on the bottom live with people who are Asperger's, so you know.
Well, I mean, it relates to the autism spectrum, so that's probably why the um the spazzing out. Like, I would have been diagnosed with Asperger's if it weren't for the fact that the DSM-5 changed the definition.
Yeah.
Um, uh, and I didn't realize I was close to getting diagnosed with that.
Well,
Years ago.
I got re-diagnosed recently, and you know the effects behind that. It just happened to be when everybody was talking about it, and I wanted to talk about it too, but I really wasn't out about it yet.
But spazzing out has definitely been associated with the autism spectrum. So
For sure. I'm just saying that the name Spurg came from Asperger's, like that's where it comes from. But like in today's gaming context, it like the insult in no way relates to Asperger's syndrome or someone being mentally challenged in any way. I think it entirely relates to like people who are, like I said, spazzing out. And that's the description that they're trying to convey. Like it's interchangeable with the word spaz, in my opinion. I've heard people call people spaz too. I just don't think it shares the connotation, the direct connotation with Asperger's any longer, like it originally did when it started.
Gotcha.
Well, you Sai, you've Homestuck tends to attract younger people, so
Why do you keep mentioning?
not Homestuck. Whatever the game is that you do,
I mean, are you talking Overwatch? Overwatch is a game.
Overwatch is the
God.
game. Sorry.
Oh my god! Yeah. Sorry, I don't mean to laugh. I'm sorry.
It's okay. My ability with names is very minimal, as you well know.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah.
also you don't like you're a very exclusive gamer. Like to some degree, Sev is a bit exclusive with gaming too.
Yep.
More so.
Like I spend 95% of my time playing WoW and 5% playing other games. So.
Well, Overwatch then it still attracts younger people, which is it tends to be a younger crowd. The usage of insults in there, what is the usage of insults in there?
Mostly the R word and faggot and I don't know, to be honest. it really just depends on who's speaking.
It doesn't
mostly
surprise me
R
that
word
those
and faggot though.
first ones that you come to mind with. For games that are online queued matchmaking games, those two are like the largest used by far. I'm pretty sure someone did a meta-analysis of League of Legends chat logs and found that those two were the highest ones. The N-word was like fifth or something like that.
Oh yeah, that too. The fun, not the funny, but like the weird thing is that like when you're watching a Twitch stream and someone like that, you know, the streamer is on a team with or whatever, and they say one of those 3 words, usually is what they were, you know, say it for. They call it a gamer word a lot. Like they say, "Oh no, he just said a gamer word. Better mute him." And it's like, what? I don't know.
This is something that we've been talking about in my guild, actually. It's a common conversation point whenever we're in Discord, talking about why these terms are considered gamer words and how, like, we should be disassociating ourselves from that terminology because they're not gamer words. I just really disagree with the idea that those... I really dislike the concept that these things are titled gamer words.
Yeah, I honestly don't get it.
Well, like I said, I think it depends on the... So, the most jobs that people work at are not jobs that require much effort, skill, or intelligence or whatnot. So there oftentimes isn't the sort of circumstance where which one would feel a desire to throw out those words. So even if the person might say them in private, you're not necessarily going to hear them in public, whereas you are going to hear them in gaming. You're more likely to hear them in gaming circles, especially the R word, because, well, intelligence is seen as a good thing in video games, and if someone wants to succeed in a particular aspect of a video game, they have and they get pissed, they shit on someone in the most related way that they can, and and because a lot of people, I don't think a lot of people humanize people with actual any sort of mental situation that's atypical. So, like, if you're talking about, it's not even thinking about the fact that people get affected by that or whatever. That people actually associate certain of those aspects with actual people with real lives or whatnot. They just see it as a word.
Yeah, I don't. Okay, so there was one point where I don't remember, but someone said the R word, and then someone went, "Hey, don't say that. That's really ableist." And they're like, "What the fuck does ableist mean?" So
that probably is a meme in response. Ableism is pretty widely culturally known. I would argue that person was probably trolling. Like, well, I don't know what I said was bad. But it's also possible that they didn't know what ableism was.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I like my alliance. We're very friendly and we don't say shit like that. But again, we're older.
Also, don't play competitive games because that's where this stuff comes out way more often. Like Alex is saying,
it's a very competitive game.
It's the cheapest insult possible. Is that because you're right. Like in gaming, I would argue that the most important trait in any game, just about any game, actually is intelligence. Your ability to think through the strategy and think through the problem faster than anybody else generally leads you to wins more often than any form of like technical skill with your fingers would probably give you. So yeah, it's just the easiest insult to just call someone dumb or stupid because that's the thing that we're all looking for in our teammates.
What would be the funny thing about that is someone who is Asperger's is very much more likely to have figured out a lot of the nuance of the game because it's one of the it's kind of our shtick. One of the things I ran across was someone who had done an Excel spreadsheet on every level and every encounter, which is as aspy as fuck. To have done.
I mean, you say that.
I fight way above my level, and I succeed because I figured out a lot of it.
You say that, but like if I were to describe one thing about me with gaming, it's following instructions. Exactly.
That's true.
Like if we're talking about one thing that's likely related to my me being on the autism spectrum in gaming, it is definitely that. I struggle when given specific orders. If all I understand really well are the orders, then you struggle with non-specific orders.
Yes, very non-specific.
Well, I mean, I'll follow whatever seems like the most specific part, like heal this person.
Right.
You're assigned but my point this person like, to heal, and then I only try to heal that person. I have no idea what to do if that person goes down. That
so I'm trying not to say this in a negative way, so let me try and phrase this appropriately. you the reason why like I would struggle with the hyper specific orders that you're being given by your healing officer, whereas when you tell me just heal the tank, I will make the jump to, okay, if I'm healing the main tank, that means I should heal whoever is tanking number one, and I should be healing all the other tanks as well. Whereas for you, if you're not told those Tekken 2 things, you're not going to do them. You're just going to heal the target that you were told to heal.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm told, heal this guy in this situation, then heal this guy in this situation, then heal this guy in this situation, I'm going to fuck up at some point during the fight. I need the non-specific direction so that I put together the next steps in my head, whereas you need the specific directions so that you actually do the things that you're supposed to be doing. It's not one's better than the other, entirely different. And I would argue that I would actually prefer your style of thinking because I like to give people perfect directions.
Well, yeah, I mean that is the that is, well, I mean that goes into the society and the fact that society is constructed around largely people who are not on the autism spectrum, and society might be similar if it was just people on the autism spectrum, but slight differences like that. Like sometimes things that make stuff more difficult for me are just stuff because so many people aren't like that, and so they're giving me instructions that don't fit that way or expecting me to act like them.
Yeah, this leads to another problem in gaming in general, is that games aren't designed for all people. The reasons why people fail in games have a lot to do with the fact that the game wasn't designed appropriately for them to succeed. So like we can talk about League of Legends really specifically here, and Siren, you might have a bit of information on this. I know Overwatch is really good at training new players, but at the same time, there's so much to learn in a MOBA that it's almost impossible to train people. So you're relying on people learning on their own, and not everybody learns on their own from the same cues in the same ways. So like someone's learning curve is going to be incredibly different based off of their own personal set of experiences and stuff like that. So Alex, for example, has she's on the spectrum. That impacts her ability to learn in a different way than I'm impacted in my ability to learn. And so our experiences with League of Legends are different. I would argue actually Alex probably had a better time in League because of her spectrum than I did. I actually experienced an incredibly difficult time learning that game. And yeah, so like the way that games are designed are.
Well, Siren played League. You played League for a while, and then Ty took
didn't.
over. You didn't? Because
I played Smite, which is similar.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I remember Ty taking it over, which is our housemate who's my age, roughly my age. He's a little younger, and he had the most horrible time with it because he didn't understand the way it was set up, and then he'd be yelling at it constantly because it wasn't set up for him. It was set up for people like me.
Yeah. Well, things like Smite and League is, at this point they have so many characters and there are so many different like ways that a match can be played, and there's so many like different abilities that you have to know, like, oh, if this character does this, then this is the best response with the character I'm using. It's really, it's a big learning curve, especially if you're just getting into the game and it's been out for so long.
Yeah, although there are, to some degree, there are optimal aspects of strategies depending on the character you're playing. For instance, if you're playing support, chances are, well, I mean, obviously you're trying to, in League of Legends, if you're playing support, you're trying to keep a certain type of vision and keep track of where the jungler is likely to be, and also, help whoever the ADC of the game is. And ADC is supposed to get the final kill on things and drop enemies. And, I mean, everyone does a little bit of vision, but supports like the main vision person.
All right, you're getting too far into explaining
yeah.
League.
Here's the thing.
Well, yeah. Obviously, like each role has like, this is what you're gonna do, but then you have the like sub part where it's what your character does. But yeah, it's mostly what role the character is in, I guess.
Well, I mean, you can specialize in characters, and then it's more about what the character is capable of than what, and you just need to know a general understanding of what the other characters can do.
Yeah. I mean, with Overwatch... Oh, sorry.
No, go, please. I'd rather you.
With Overwatch, which is a lot different from League, in my opinion, but...
Yeah. I'd agree with that, too.
Yeah, it's really different. But with Overwatch, if there are a lot of heroes, but there aren't too many, and you kind of have to know how all of them work to play the game. It just even just a little bit, because you have to know counters and stuff. But usually there's a meta that's going on with every patch. So, I mean, you mostly just have to know how the meta works, but I think it's good to know how every hero works. Because if you don't, and you don't know how to counter things, then you're really fucked if someone picks something and you have no idea how to deal with it.
Well, yeah, I mean, that general aspect I think is true of every MOBA. The meta aspect and trying to understand counters and all that. Although, while League and a lot of MOBAs do the killing enemies and getting stuff, Overwatch is obviously just focused on the capturing areas or whatever half the time. I haven't played Overwatch much.
Didn't you play that weird ass Disney game too?
The what?
Kingdom
That
Hearts?
weird ass Disney game. Yeah, Kingdom Hearts.
Kingdom Hearts? Yeah,
well,
I do play that.
It is Square Enix, but also working together with Disney.
Yeah. What about Kingdom Hearts, though?
Yeah,
I don't know. It seems like a whole different way of playing to even go through that game.
Well, first of all, it's single player, but
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know. I don't know.
No, it's okay. Don't worry about it.
No. Kingdom Hearts is single player action RPGs, and a lot of the toxicity seems to be from the reviewers of those games. There's a lot of weird.
Kingdom Hearts is so stupid, but I love it a lot.
Well, yeah. I mean, I do too. Kingdom Hearts is amazing, and I'm sad that I haven't played the third one yet.
I haven't finished the second one. I'm still working on it.
One? Oh, okay.
I'm still working on it. Yep.
I really liked when the second one came out because of the because it's a lot better action and a lot cooler looking.
As a kid, when Kingdom Hearts first came out, I had my PS2, and I played Kingdom Hearts first one so much, and I almost beat it, and then my PS2 broke, and then I never played it again.
I mean, the only reason I haven't finished the second game is because, my friend recently, well, not too recently, but he recently forced me to start playing the games. So, and then I bought them all because he wanted his discs back. So I'm like, okay. And now he won't let me finish the game until he's here because he wants to see me play it. And I'm like,
gotcha. So it's like JoJo's Xevaris.
Hey, we'll get to watch JoJo's eventually.
Oh my god, JoJo's Bizarre.
We need to finish that season ideally before the next season comes out. They take forever, and we still haven't finished that season. Like, come on, Giorno Giovanni is
I've watched maybe 3 episodes of JoJo.
No, JoJo's is the best.
It's good, but it's not made for me.
It's interesting. It's very interesting, and I'll watch it because it's interesting.
Yeah,
It's
that's pretty much
Ludicrously-
where I am. It was not
Ludicrously
made for
buff
me.
men aren't for you.
No, it has to do with the way they.
Don't get me wrong, I love Sambara, but
Okay, you're allowed. That's fine. I, as your parent, I say.
okay.
okay.
The,
Thought police.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what I am. I oversee every aspect of my child's life. Yeah, exactly. I'm the most hands-off parent there is. They.
Oh my.
But
I have a
JoJo's-
question.
Oh,
Hold on. I have a question that I meant to ask way earlier, but the conversation moved. About insults and stuff. Do you have insults in your friend group that your friends will use on each other, and it would be weird to other people if you said it, but your friend group constantly uses like a set amount of insults and like with each
Talk about gaming friend group, or
friends.
just a normal friend group in real life.
Both. My IRL friends and my gaming friends kind of intermix on a Discord. But like the main like few insults, strangely all revolve around being gay. We'll call each other G-boy and you like men, and it's very stupid, and we don't mean anything by it. It's just a weird way to like say, "Hey, you're bad," in a joking way.
We used to call one of our we I don't know if I should say this out loud. My main friend group in high school, and they're still most of them are still my friends. The one of the hierarchies was perceived cock size. So you know, like Brian was horse cock, and
I mean, I gotta be honest, like in my Discord, we get pretty I don't know how to say this, but like what you're saying, like what you were saying, Siren, like we get pretty raunchy with each other. Like you're talking about bringing up like somebody's horse cock or whatever. We talk about everybody's big dick energy all the time in my guild.
Oh yeah,
Like
absolutely.
if you did
Yeah.
big DPS, you got the biggest dick in the guild right now. Like, and we're all like wanting to see it. Like we want to see you get hard. Like, man,
Yeah.
we bought I helped fund one of our tanks microphones and headset because he had a really crappy one and we need him to call out stuff appropriately. And the very first time he talked, like I just went off about how like I was coming to his sexy voice. So like we
Yeah.
we
Yeah,
get a little raunchy.
I get that. The one thing that causes some not bad, like it's just like a lot of yelling, but it's like joking, is when you call someone a bottom in voice chat.
ouch.
Just silence bottom and everyone starts yelling.
Damn.
It's just so stupid.
I mean, it worked.
Yeah.
There is a lot of homoerotic language in online gaming that's used in a joking derogatory sense. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
if you get like I can't even say it without making the euphemism, but yeah, you get screwed. If you die, you got fucked. Like you got it up the ass, dog. Like seriously. Like, I don't know how else
yeah.
to put it. So I don't know.
Yeah,
Yes.
we sometimes get very explicit with you just got fucked, and it's kind of weird.
I don't know if we don't get much more graphic than what I've said. So there is that.
Yeah, but my friend group does that too. I mean, it's not even amongst the. I mean, me and Jesse talk, and you should hear it.
Like, wait, am I just like the weird one who only befriends and stays like close friends with the most timid people who don't do that?
Yeah, your raid is the least locker roomy, if we're gonna borrow
Yeah,
the president's
That's
vernacular.
a good term.
yeah, it is very, you know, it's very much just well, I mean, in raids it's very business, but
Yeah,
like
when
if it,
you, because Malkior, the guild master, who's also your main raid leader,
yeah,
it's funny. He came from the military, and despite that, he's not a huge fan of that kind of thing. So you get people
yeah,
who are one way about
Noxie's
it.
also ex-military, right?
Yeah, and she's also not about that life. So
Yeah. Um. No. Noxie is awesome and the best healer. Sorry, I as a healer in World of Warcraft, I have to be like these are the best healers. No, we have good druids too. Like we have like a fair amount of good keepers. Weekly's good too.
there's a direct correlation with raunchiness to goodness. That's why you're the worst raid team.
I hate you. I hate you. Just wait. Like wait till we like end up shooting out as the best raid team in AQ40.
Not gonna happen, but okay.
Oh,
You say
dear.
that, but like
I,
just because we lost a couple of our tanks and and
I hear a big dick energy challenge going.
Oh, there's lots of big dick energy going on. Don't worry about it.
no, I mean, when it comes to stuff, I obviously want to try to be like the best healer there is. It doesn't matter if the rest of the raid doesn't do as well as long as I did the best. I need to get to Noxie levels of healing.
That's something we can talk about when from gaming. That's a bit more positive about how gaming kind of gives everybody that the thing that athletes really get from playing like physical sports, that concept of self-improvement that I really only get out of like things that are competitive like sports are. Yeah, the self-improvement drive it's really well taught by playing video games.
Well, I mean, if you're talking about video, it has to be specific aspects of video games. Like I got none of that in a lot of the casual stuff. It's more so during raids, and definitely raids in which they're trying to go for the best. I don't know. I didn't start getting.
Well, it's not necessarily
mentality.
true. Because like you got to look at all the other gaming that you've ever done, like all the times that you die in Dark Souls, but you still come back to try and kill the next boss. Like that's that self-improvement that I'm talking about.
Yeah,
that drive to want to get the boss down or get the next point or get to the next level. Like that's.
Maybe it's just one of those things. Okay, now thinking about now that I've actually, you've pointed out how wrong I am. You're reminding me of the fact that internally that I tried to learn the aspects of how to speedrun in Metroid Prime. And I'm like, oh wait, no, I guess I did. I just didn't think as actively about it until League. League after League and getting into esports and sports in general, then I start to really think about actively and try to go for the best and not just be good.
Right.
Well, to be honest, the reason I started this game, I started this game just to try it, but the reason I kept with it was a lot of things were falling apart in my life, and it's one thing I could control. The sense of movement, the sense of improvement was a huge part of that. So, and then I lost my entire original character my phone glitched and the whole thing was gone. And I had to start from the beginning again, but I knew what I was doing now, so it's kind of like, oh, cool, I can do better this time.
Oh, that is like, you are definitely a gamer. Like, there's no doubt about it now, because that is a classic gaming experience of being just like, because I lost my save file. Oh, I accidentally deleted my save file and I have to start all the way over. But I've played all this before, so I understand it better. So I'm just like, oh, I found this difficult before because this is easy as hell.
The one time that backfires is when it's not easy and like you lose your save and you knew how difficult it was getting to that point. Like,
well, yeah.
When in those times I actually struggle to not quit, because oftentimes if it's too bad, I'll just leave it.
Yeah, I mean that sense is a little bit more so in Dark Souls 2. Because unlike Dark Souls, so in Dark Souls there are essentially an infinite amount of enemies, and you get an infinite amount of experience. You can farm enemies forever. So theoretically, you could level up. You could max out all your stats before fighting the boss. Dark Souls 2, there's a limit to the number of enemies, and if you lose experience, well, that experience is gone. There's no way to get it. So it makes it more stressful. Dark Souls 2 is the only one, and is also the one made by a different group of people than Dark Souls, but yeah, no, that kind of kills some of the fun of the game. Although I still need to beat Bloodborne. I'm fine jumping back into Bloodborne, but like Dark Souls 2 is harder to jump back into. I have to like commit dedicated time to do Dark Souls 2.
Can I just say, Siren in a second. Can I just say the game has been on my the entire time I've been talking. So.
Logged out of my game because I'm saving world buffs, so I can't log in right now.
Anyway, Siren.
I mean, even with the one game I play, Project Diva, like it's a rhythm game. I focus so much on playing that game because I like the improvement. I like going back and playing a song that I struggled with so much, and then being like, oh shit, this is easy as fuck.
Yeah, and beat your high score.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Project Diva's fucking insane, bro.
I think I've seen a few YouTube videos of that game. It's pretty nuts.
Yeah.
Well,
Anyway.
since Itsani Miko has created all of the problematic things in the world. Did I say it very badly? I said it badly, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
But I'm the one who introduced you to her, so I'm kind of.
Yes, and
I
I have passed you in every way, but.
Vocaloids really took me for a long time.
Okay. Well, we are getting to wrapping up time. So, before we go, let's start with you, Xevaris. Where can people find you?
Well, not recently, but you can find me at twitch.tv/Xevaris, and YouTube. His channel's name is Xevaris as well, Xevaris, or in game on Grobulus by the same name.
Well, on the specifically stuff related to the Obsidian Council, there's an Obsidian Council YouTube channel.
Oh yeah, if you wanted to watch some memes that our guild has put together, you could go to the Obsidian Council YouTube channel as well. There's some good memes there.
Yeah. Yeah, I just figured like you don't want to lose out on your.
I'm wearing the shirt, okay? That's all the brand exposure I need.
Well, yeah, all the esports mentality, that like official shirts, all that stuff. No, yeah, no, I like the esports mentality. um,
Yep.
Cern, where can people find you? And are you doing anything in
Uh,
particular, special?
okay. I was gonna do stuff, and then I decided to reset and reconsider. So I
Yeah,
don't really have anything to plug right now because I'm
which
not
is
doing anything.
understandable.
So I might start streaming once I get my computer set up, but I don't know yet. So there's nothing for me to say. So I'll shut up.
It, it's okay. It's a life is life is life. Christy,
Yeah.
anything you're working on, where can people find you?
Christy Abbey is my channel. It's pretty easy to get to. Just look up Christy Abbey with a Y. It's going to go active again this next week. A lot of what Siren was going to be working on is my fault because I haven't actually worked on it myself, and I'm getting a green screen finally, so I can actually do some more interesting stuff than I do, because my backgrounds are terrible and my thumbnails are shit. So,
Hmm.
so sorry.
I'm sorry I phrased it like that.
No, it's fine. You're right, but so essentially the yes, as soon as I get the green screen, some of those things are going up, and Jesse and I are talking about doing something together, which is nice. But we'll see when we do it. Chris Abbey Music will finally have some new stuff up. Well, I should get it done today, but other than that, Normality Quake on Twitter. Harass me there because people like to harass me there. That's about it.
Okay, and I can be found as Ozma in the Dark just about everywhere except for Twitter, which I technically started before I decided to brand name myself. Which, I mean, I can be found Ozma in the Dark on Twitter as well, technically. But I mostly use Talking to Nothing. It's like Talking to Nothing minus the G. That's where I can be found on Twitter, and I am still dealing with working through life stuff is kind of a focus. Outside of here, you can find me here on the Fluid Voice, but I mean also streaming on Ozma in the Dark on Twitch every Tuesday because that's when Raid is, and I stream World of Warcraft Classic raids, and I'll probably the D&D should be finished up soon, and I'll probably upload that shit, and so I don't have to focus on it as much. But yeah, and then I'll be able to get around to the music thing that I promised Twitter followers. Anyways.
I still have to write the theme for this show, and I haven't figured out what approach I want to take yet. So
yeah, like there's a lot of work in progress. But yeah, what is it? I forget every week. I forget your wonderful theme ending. Christy.
Oh, my sign off.
Yeah.
Everybody to remember that your life matters, your voice matters, and you matter.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Live long.